Hey, look who I found. Hey, Whiny. Are you going to come with me? Are you? Good day, everybody. Today, we're making tea. That's one of the little cabins here that are on property. But we're going back and we're going to get some birch. Let's find our birch tree now. So we are up in the North Pasture. I make this birch tea for my mom. She's 96 years old. She has COPD. It doesn't cure the COPD, but because of the inhaler she uses, she gets a buildup. And this tea, it allows her to clear all of that, I don't know if it would be deposit or residue that these inhalers are leaving in her lungs. And she coughs all that up. It's gray. She tells me it's gray. And after, you know, after she finishes her treatment of birch tea, she feels so good. She breathes better. She sleeps better. It could be curing her at a slow pace. We don't know that for sure, but she swears by it. She wanted me to share the story with you. When she was in her, I think she would have been in her late 30s, early 40s, she had had a pain in her lungs for quite a while. Of course, you know, that leads you to go see the doctor. And they did x-rays and stuff like that, and they found a black spot about the size of a dollar, a silver dollar, in her lung, in her one lung. And then, of course, they wanted to start treatment and do all kinds of tests on her to see if it was cancerous. And she come home. She said, let me go home for a while. And she got a hold of her mom, my grandmother, who didn't speak a word of English. She just spoke CREE, the CREE language. So did my grandfather on my mom's side. And she said, no, wait, don't do anything. She said, I'll make you some tea, right? I'm going to make you some medicine. And this is what she made. She used birch. My grandmother made this tea. She started feeling better. And so she was, you know, scheduled to go back and see the doctor, and she asked if they could take those initial tests, right? The x-rays and stuff. Gone. That silver dollar-sized black spot that was on her lung, in her lung, gone. And what was left there was a scar, right? That's all. And the doctor said to her, I don't know what you did, what happened, but there's nothing there. There is nothing there. And I think a lot of it has to do with, too, is your belief in it, your faith in it, and in faith in what God gave us here, right? Everything that we need is here. It's here. It's on the planet. The COPD, though, not as far as I know. That's something new. You know, we didn't, I mean, you know, years ago you never heard of COPD. It was asthma, right? And now they kind of, I'm not sure if how they're testing things is more specific, but they're breaking this, you know, lung issues, breathing issues, asthmatic symptoms into categories. They're segregating it and saying, and I guess treating it separate. And the COPD is something that Mom, she started having symptoms when she was a bit younger. The COPD kicked in, and the doctor, you know, he has her on these inhalers, these steroid inhalers, and it does leave a buildup. You even need to rinse your mouth out after you use these inhalers, right? Smokers, this just cleans your lungs out. Oh my God, you're going to be coughing up a lot of crap. Pardon my language. A lot of people smoke, and this will help you. This will clean out all that buildup as well. Let's find our birch, and then we got to talk a little bit about the birch and how you're going to measure that out as well. Stay with me. We'll do this a little at a time, a step at a time. Okay, so I harvested my birch. We usually only take what we need, right? We'd never take more than, you can get this, the best time to get this is in the spring or in the fall. There's something else you're going to add to the tea beside your birch. Something my mom got me for my birthday. You might need it, she said. And it does, it comes in handy. It's not heavy. I'm not sure if you can get something like this in the health food store. I'm not sure if they sell birch. They might sell the root, but we don't want to use the root today. Okay, so I got the birch, and we're going to move on to, we're going to talk about yarrow, okay? Yarrow you're going to add to your tea. See you in a bit. Okay, so this is what we want to put into your tea. And as it's growing, you see these down here, they almost look like little ferns. That's actually the leaf of the yarrow plant itself. These are new ones coming up. These here. They're very soft. If you look down the stem on the yarrow plant, it's the that's what the leaf looks like. It does have a very medicinal smell to it. It's a very, very wonderful, powerful little plant. People call it a weed. Most of the weeds that grow around you and around your property are, I would say 99% of them are used in medicine, right? They spray them to kill them, and yet they're very important little plants, right? Your nettle, your thistle, there's, I'm sure there's, well, I can think of 5 different types of thistle and nettle. Dandelions, and people are constantly spraying dandelions. Not just for the medicine, but for the bees, right? We need the bees. Without the bees, we wouldn't have a whole lot of nothing, right? Yarrow is, a lot of people look at that and spray them and cut them down, but it's a very, very good plant. Externally, they use it for a coagulation, like say if you had a wound, or an injury that won't heal. They use that. Basically what they do is just mush it up and place it in the wound. It will stop the bleeding, but it also helps in the healing process. Internally, it's used for bladder, kidney infection, any kind of issues there. Women's monthly moon time of the month, that helps. That will help. Tea for the lungs, it works together with the birch. If there's any injury in that lung, that will help the healing process along with the birch. And then the birch is there to, it just like, it's going in there and rinsing out your lungs, and it's up to you to cough that out, right? I'd ask you to spit, remove anything that you cough up. A lot of people just have that habit, they cough swallow. It's instinct. If you can, when you're on this tea, spit up and throw away whatever it is that you bring up. In doing that, you'll see as time progresses, what you're coughing up is clearer and clearer and clearer, less cloudy, right? We're gonna get our yarrow, and before you make your tea, I want to show you how to cut the pieces and why you're going to cut them the size you cut them, and why you cut them in the way that you do, and how much yarrow to use per batch of tea. This is going to help you sleep. It is going to make you sleepy. And I need to talk to you about, you're going to get this little headache, and we just call it the little headache, right? When you first start your tea, and this is important. You may not experience it, but if you do, it's a good thing. Okay, it's good. You will feel when you're making this medicine, not just this medicine, but when you're making any kind of medicine for healing, when you first start, if you feel a little headache, kind of right in your temple or in the front of your head, you just a little. It's not something you can't stand or it's unbearable. It only lasts for seconds, maybe a little more, maybe 10 seconds, sometimes 15 seconds, but it goes away right away. That is an indication that the tea is working. So if you do feel that, very good. If you don't, it's okay too. The tea is still going to work. But a lot of people, it does affect a lot of people in that way. So that might be something you want to mark down on your pen and paper. The little headache. You want to mark down on your pen and paper. The little headache. I was talking to my mom about it, and I was asking her, is there a Cree word for that? Like that phrase, that saying? And she said there was, but she couldn't remember it, but she said there is. But anyway, so I'm gonna pick the yarrow. If you can, if you do get it out of a health food store or something like that, what we're gonna use is one bundle of flour on the one plant per piece of birch. You know, like I was saying, in the health food store, they don't think of those things. They just take the whole entire plant, grind it up and throw it in a bag for you. And we don't want the stem and we don't want the leaves, we want the flower, right? And I kind of wish they would separate those things, but they don't. I don't think they understand that or know anything about that. But you can use the roots for certain things on the yarrow plant, and the leaves and the flower and the stem for something else. But what we're using it for now is for your lungs, and we need the flower. We need the top part of that plant. Anyway, okay, see you in a minute. Alrighty. Okay, so we got our birch and we got our yarrow. And I just want to show you, this is what you're going to get from the whole entire plant. You got the flower and the root. Oh my god, it smells so good. Very medicinal. Like, you just take those little leaves. It's medicine. You can tell the medicine just by the smell of it. So, but what we want is just the flower. This is one bunch, one bundle. We want one of those per piece of birch. And I'm going to show you right now how to measure your birch. And it's very important that you pay attention. This goes along with any kind of tree that you would use. Say it would be alder, mountain ash, birch, poplar. They're used for all different kinds of health issues and healing, right? This is very important. One of my subscribers, Tony, who's a giant of a man, he was telling me he's got a size 14 shoe, and he's, you know, over 6 feet tall. And then you have, you know, someone like my sister who's, you know, 5'2" and 110 pounds, right? Like, if you came to me and I was making tea for you, I would use your body as measurement for the strength of the tea. Like, I can't measure these plants and stuff for tea for me and then give that tea to you. It would be too strong if you were smaller than I was, and then it wouldn't be strong enough if you were larger than I was, right? So we measure this based on the size of your own body. This is what we do. The ideal piece of birch that you want to get is going to be as round and as thick as your pointer finger. And then, to measure the length of this, you want to go to the palm of your hand, to the width of your hand, to the width of your palm. Close it up there, and this is where you're going to cut it. I'm using a little pruning knife or little pruning scissors. There we go. Okay, it's good. And again, as round and thick as your pointer finger. Okay, next. Okay, so where were we? Yes, I was showing you how to measure your piece of birch. After you are done cutting that piece, measuring it the thickness of your pointer finger and the width of your hand, you will take it and you could use a butcher knife, a chef's knife, or I just used a little hatchet to do mine. But you're going to take them and you want to split them into four, because we're making 4 pints of tea, 8 cups of tea. So each one represents a pint. I'm going to measure 1 piece with 1 flower. So you're going to have 4 pieces of yarrow, 4 pieces of the birch. And that's going to go into your first batch of tea. So not much more to say about the gathering of your birch and your yarrow. We'll go right into making the tea. Here we go. All right, everybody, so we're gonna make some tea. And just to refresh everybody's memory, or just to touch bases on this one more time. So we're going 1 bundle of yarrow per birch stick, and you've got 4 pieces. Remember, you got 4 pieces, so you're going to have 4 pieces of yarrow. But what I did for you guys is so you can see here, you got 4 pieces of birch, 4 flower heads of yarrow, and you're going to make 4 pints of tea. There's 2 cups in each pint, 2 cups in each pint, so 2, 4, 6, 8. 8 cups of tea you're going to make. This is a recipe for 1 batch of tea. This is 1 treatment. A cup in the morning and a cup at night before you go to bed. When you first start this tea, it may make you sleepy. It will make you go to the bathroom, probably the first night that you start drinking it, or the second night. Through the night, you might want to get up and go to the bathroom, right? So just remember that. You might want to make note of that too with your pen and paper. Once you start drinking your tea after the first, second, third day, those things kind of pass. They kind of pass, and you don't have to do that anymore. Some people continue to do that through the whole thing, and others not so much, right? So we're going to now put the water into your pot. What I'd like you guys to do is actually do 4.5 through the boiling and simmering process when you're making tea. As you lose about 1/2 pint of liquid. Here you go. So this will be your 1/2. If you didn't add that extra 1/2, you're going to have 3.5 pints instead of 4. One of these little strainers prevents all of the pieces that could be bark from your birch or the smaller pieces in your yarrow from going into your pint jar, right? So just before your water starts to create that boil, start dropping in your birch and your yarrow wherever we've taken plants or roots, or say we've cut down a tree to make medicine. I was always taught to leave tobacco. And if you don't have tobacco, you know, at some point, even after you make the tea, maybe make an effort to go plant a tree, right? Go put something there in place of the thing you took, right? It's a give and take. We take something, we give something. That would be a good thing to do. And all of this all helps in making this medicine. All of these things come together, and it's the energy you put into making your medicine, or if you're making it for somebody. I did the measurements for the yarrow because I think if you're going to order the yarrow through, whether it be online or you go to the local health food store and you get it there bulk, it's all kind of all thrown together. And again, I wish they wouldn't do that. I wish they would take the flowers and put them separate, and your stem and leaves together, and then the roots separate, because you can use those for other things. But today And this is okay if you get it in bulk. But we've never purchased the yarrow from a health food store, so I'm not sure. Maybe they do have it separate. Maybe they just have a bag with the flour in it. I harvested ours today and yesterday fresh. We do dry it as well. Hang them to dry and then just drop them into an airtight container, but make sure they're dry because then they might ferment or mold. So make sure it's dry before you put them into the container. Once it's dry, it does shrink, probably half the size of what it is when you pick it. We are going to, you may notice there's extra water in here. It's because I'm making 2 batches, one for Mom and one for my sister. Okay, and you want that to go to a complete boil, and then we're going to come down. We're going to bring everything down into a simmer. After you simmer for that 3/4 of an hour, everything is going to start sinking to the bottom, and that's when you know your tea is done. Your pieces of birch stick are going to sink, your yarrow is going to sink, and that's a good thing, right? Your tea is finished, and then we just let it cool down, and then you'll pour them into your pint jars. Okay, everybody, so the tea is finished. We boiled and then simmered for 45 minutes. And a good rule of thumb is just to let that cool down before you pour that into your pint jars. I don't know if anybody's familiar with making jams or preservatives. Just warm your jars up before you pour anything hot into them. So if you want to let your tea cool before you put it into your pint jars. And as you let this cool, your birch sticks and everything are going to sink. I'll show you what's happening right now. Everything is starting to go right to the bottom, and that's what you want. That's a good indication that it's finished, right? I'll show you this right now. You can see some of the birch are already down to the bottom, and then let that cool. You can have a cup of tea right away if you wanted. While it's still hot, add a little bit of half a teaspoon of honey, and sit and enjoy the tea. Something you might want to remember is when you're drinking this tea, if you're a beer drinker or a wine drinker or anything like that, even a coffee drinker, I would say if you can, drink less of that while you're taking your tea. Not drink tea or coffee or beer or your whatever it is you normally drink maybe a couple hours before you have your evening tea before you go to bed, because you're kind of defeating the purpose, right? And you would be diluting your tea. You'd be taking away the full strength of the treatment, right? So we'll go right into ladling these into your pint jars. So there you go, everybody. There's your 4 pints of tea. This is a 1 batch. This is 1 batch. So remember, you have 4 pieces of birch. You have 4 flower heads of yarrow, and that is going to give you 1 batch. And I took all the birch pieces out. The yarrow, when you make your tea, the yarrow kind of the boiling process kind of removes all the medicine and flavor and everything out of the yarrow. When you make that first batch, you're going to make 2 batches here, right? Your second, you're going to do the same process, half the yarrow, and you're going to reboil these these pieces of birch, don't throw them away. You're going to boil them for a second batch of tea, and you're going to make 4 pints again. It's going to be less in strength, right? A lot of the native people, I know my mom talks about her parents, you know, they would make this sometimes, usually 2 times in the year, in the spring and in the fall, just to clean their lungs out, right? Clean their system out. And for people that need it more, you can make this 3 or 4 times in the year if you felt you needed to, right? And it's kind of up to the individual. If you did it 3 times in the year, 4 times in the year, spread it out evenly throughout the 12-month period. But yes, do not throw away your birch sticks after you've made your first batch, because you're going to reboil them, right? And when you make that second batch of tea, don't reuse the yarrow that you just used, because there'll be nothing left in it. There you go. And again, there's 2 cups in each pint, so you're going to drink 1 in the morning, 1 at night. And remember, it may make you a little bit sleepy. Remember the little headache we spoke about earlier, and you may have to get up through the night and go to the bathroom. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope this tea does you well. And if you're making it for anybody specific, another good rule of thumb, pray over your tea. You know, pray over your tea, ask for a blessing, pray over the tea. And good luck. Bye for now.